What if we take one of the most expensive and beautiful exotic woods on the market and carve one of the deepest 3D designs that I possibly could? What if there was smoke? What if there were satisfying CNC cuts? And most of all, what if the bit started screaming, physically and emotionally? What is up, mother flippers? In my last video, I mentioned that in my next video, which is this one that you're watching right now, I was going to reveal this project, and this is that reveal. Check it out. I'm about to show you guys the entire build process right now. So I started with this big piece of bloodwood. I was planning to cross-cut it on the table saw using the miter gauge I have, but after lining it up I realized this piece was just way too heavy and awkward for that setup. So rather than risk launching it into orbit, I played it safe and used the radial arm saw instead. Okay, the first cut is done. There is no turning back now. And that is actually not bad at all. Once I got that set up right, I started chopping this bloodwood down into manageable pieces, basically just me versus a very angry tree, with a radial arm saw to even the odds. All jokes aside, these are being cut to the correct length to match the piece that we want. So we're back at the table saw. For the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to straighten out the sides here. We're just going to rip them. That way we could do a glue up and glue them all together. Nice and neat. So this is my first time working with bloodwood, and so far I am blown away at how easy it is to work with this thing, because typically when you're working with super hard woods like this, you have a lot of problems. Super hard woods are usually very hard on your blades, but this thing is just, the saw is chewing through it like butter. Okay, I really like this configuration here, so we're gonna do the glue up exactly as you see it here. I pulled out my glue. I buy this stuff by the jug because I go through it like water, literally. Whoopsie. All right. Alright, we're just going to start off here by splurging all over our beautiful, precious wood. And this is one of my most favorite parts of the entire process. The part where the wood gets wet and sticky. I'm of course talking about the glue up. That's right, my friends, the most thrilling, action-packed part of the entire build. We get to watch the glue dry. And we just finished the glue up. This is how it's looking. We're going to let this sit for roughly about an hour. So for this carving, we're going to be starting out with this bit right here. This is a bit called the Beast from IDC Woodcraft. For the record, I'm not sponsored or anything. I just really like their products. I think it is an awesome product. And this is a roughing bit. They advertise this bit at cutting up to 1,000 inches per minute, which is absolutely insane. So this is our 1/4 inch collet, and next I drop in the 1/4 inch roughing bit that I showed you guys earlier. And now it's time to let the CNC do what it does best. Make a mess and look cool doing it. Alright, so we have our 3D roughing paths loaded up on the screen here. We're going to go ahead and start it. So this project started off looking great. The CNC was cutting like a champ until I noticed it. Every time the bit plunged into the wood, a little puff of smoke came out. And at first I thought, okay, maybe it's just working hard. But then I realized it looked like the bit was suffering, like it was crying out for help. I let it run for a little bit, hoping it would work itself out, but the smoke just kept showing up like it wanted attention. So I paused everything, headed back to the computer. I changed the tool path so that the bit wouldn't dive straight in anymore. Instead, it would just ease into the cut at a diagonal angle. So I ran it again, and boom, smooth cut. No smoke, and my bit finally stopped sending distress signals. Alright, check this out. So if I open up my box of goodies here, check this out. I got some brand new bits. As a matter of fact, these are from Spatool. Very good brand in my opinion. This is going to be the copper ball nose bit. These are brand spanking new. This is going to be their maiden carve. Now for the next step, we're going to say a prayer and start the carve. So we're about 7 hours in, 7 hours and 26 minutes, and this is where we're at. For the record, I did try running this thing much quicker, but I already broke a bit. This one right here, this was the bit I was using. It was a brand new bit and the tip of it already broke off, so I had to slow down the feed rate, and that's why it's gonna take forever, but it's all good. And check this out. This is the final product. Still has some weight to it, but it is looking pretty dang good. So now that we have the carving all complete, we're going to cut the ends off. We're over here at the Harvey table saw. This is the Alpha HW110S, the 36-inch model. I absolutely love this table saw. This is one of my favorite purchases next to the CNC machine. Now, when I work at the table saw, I always roll up my sleeves because you never want loose clothing around a spinning blade. This saw just cut through 1 3/4 inches of hardwood like it was nothing. So here I have these sanding attachments, and the way these work is you just put them right into your drill, just like that, and you can go ahead and sand down your project. These things actually come in handy so much. I use them all the time. I really do like them. Now that we have part of the frame ready to go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some 45s. We have the miter gauge right here. This is the miter gauge that came with the Harvey table saw. It's actually a really good miter gauge. I love this thing. We just have to set that to a 45, quick and easy, and adjust the fence accordingly. Now we're going to measure out our 18.5 inches. I've always loved freshly planed wood because check out that sheen. That is just bare wood. No finish on that. And it has this beautiful shine to it. But anyways, next step, let's get to it. We're back at the table saw. I'm gonna move that miter gauge out the way for now. And we're actually gonna use the fence here just to clean up one of these edges. We're going to remove that, hook that up on top. Just like that, we have ourselves a roundover. Now I'm going to lay our other piece on top of the round over here, and I'm basically just going to eyeball more or less how high up I want the round over to be, and I want to put a little line on top and one on bottom, and that'll give me a reference point for our next cut. For this next cut, there is a large number of bits that we can use to get the cut we want, but I think the bit I've decided that I want to go with is this one right here, because this one is geared towards being used on a router table, and it is quite a large cutter, at least in comparison to some of the other ones. So this is going to be our go-to for this cut. Alright guys, looks like we are learning together today because there is a change of plans. I'm not going to be able to use this bit because that is the maximum height, and we need that bit to come all the way up to here so it doesn't rise that high. So we're going to have to use a different bit. The next best bits for this cut will definitely be this Diablo, and we don't really need this one to rise high because for this one we just move the fence back. So for reference, I have this coming out roughly about 4/16 of an inch, and we have the fence lined up about where we want it. I think we're ready to make our cut. All right, now that we have that edge all done, it actually came out really clean. That is pretty dang good for a router table that I built and put together quite a few years ago. This should fit right in there. Oh wow, nice and tight, just like we like it. That's what I'm talking about. And that is what our edge is gonna look like, essentially. We're just gonna cut the bottom off on the table saw. Look at that. That is so beautiful. So pat on the back for that one. I'm really happy with how this looks. I think it looks absolutely stunning. We're gonna take that out and we're gonna cut it on the table saw. So now we have 4 of these done, one for each side, and these are each 2-part. So we got 8 pieces complete. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start gluing these together with Type Bond 3, son. This is all I ever use now is Type Bond 3, the ultimate wood glue. This stuff is really good, in my opinion. I have not found anything that could beat it. I also have this little tool right here. This is a glue brush. This is what we're gonna use to spread it on. And I have my handy dandy glue bot. This thing always comes in handy. I really like it. Alright, now we are ready to come to the table saw and start cutting our 45s. Now, before we actually do the 45 on the other end of this, I'm actually going to put this to one side and we're going to do a 45 on another piece, and I'll tell you guys why here in just a minute. Alright, so check this out. We got a couple 45s cut right here. I'm going to put them together on one corner first before I cut the other end, and then we're going to take our pencil and this is what we're going to do. Then we can come to this side and put a mark right there. And the reason I like to do it like that is because sometimes, say, if we don't line that up, if we're just going off of what we see here in the corner, you can still get a pretty accurate cut, but sometimes it happens to be a little bit off and you might get a piece that's a little bit too short. So it's always better for your piece to be too long than it is for it to be too short, because you can always just cut more off. Now that we have our mark right here, I'm going to get a square and we're going to put our line on this side as well. And now we're ready to make our next cuts. And for the very first cut, I actually almost got that perfect. I could probably take another slither or 2 off. So now if we look at this, you guys can see it's just sitting there, but it is lined up in this corner. And over here, it looks dead on. And I think that that's going to be perfect right there. So we're not going to take any slithers off right now. And that's basically what I mean when I say that you don't want to cut right up to the line, because you may end up taking off too much. So because I believed I was cutting slightly to the right, we did not overcut this and we saved ourselves a ton of time. Check this out. Look how beautiful that sucker looks. All we have to do now is the glue up and of course the finish. So don't go yet, we are far from done. I actually picked up a brand new finish, which is what I have in this box. I'm not going to reveal it yet. I'm going to show you guys when we're ready to do the finish. Some of you guys might recognize it from the rags here. But let's get to it. Let's go ahead and do this glue up. So I'm actually going to start off by clamping the piece down to the table, and you can already see why. The other end is lifting up. That means that there is a slight curve. I think that the bloodwood warped a little bit after I did the carve because it released some of the moisture that was trapped inside. I'm going to very carefully clamp it to the table. Hopefully it doesn't crack on me. I can hear it snap, crackling, and popping, so I'm not going to push it too hard. I'm going to leave it right there. We're going to slide this piece in, and we're going to glue it in place right there. Now we finally have this whole piece glued together. You can see everything's holding together beautifully. The next thing I'm going to do is I have some sandpaper here. This is a sandpaper attachment for the drill. I'm going to use that along with this. I'm just going to sand it by hand, and I'm going to do some fine detailing work by sanding out any imperfections and fixing up the corners, stuff like that, before we do the finish. Now, obviously, because of the fine detail inside of this design, I'm not able to do a ton of sanding on this. And to my surprise, I've actually done quite a bit within the past hour. I got the entire thing pretty much sanded down, and I'm just working on the wolf now. And I think we are ready for the finish. But before we get to the finish, I want to show you guys one last thing. Check this out. These are called bench cookies from Rockler. These are actually pretty cool. They are only $4 a piece, which is surprising in my opinion, considering most wood products are very expensive. Now what these are is you can put them under your piece like that, and they allow you to do your sanding or whatever you need, and they grip your project, hold it very steady. Look at that. So I'm gonna flip this around and I'm gonna sand the backside, but for you guys, we're just gonna skip straight to the finish. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the big moment that I've been waiting for, the finish. Check this out. So in here, I have a brand new finish that I have been excited to try for the longest time. And I'm gonna reveal it to you guys right now. Check it out. We are gonna be trying some Odie's oil. Now, many of you guys, if you're a woodworker, you already know about this stuff. But for me, this is gonna be my first time trying it. So I am super excited. I have never tried one of these particular oil finishes. Now in the box comes with the Odie's oil, of course. It comes with some of these cloths, some mixing sticks, and a bunch of these pads. I'm just going to pull one out for now because that's all we're going to use. And of course, a little booklet for their other products. I'm going to put this to the side for now. What we want to do is we want to get one of our sticks, and we're going to open up our Odie's. That stuff does smell good. It has a subtle lemony kind of scent. That's what it looks like. It looks a lot like honey. And they recommend that we stir it up in the jar before we apply it to our project. I'm going to stir this for a few minutes, and now that is stirred very good. Next step, we're going to get our cloth here. I'm actually going to cut this thing in half. I only need a small piece since the project we're working on is very small itself, and that should be good right there. And you may notice I don't have any gloves on or respiratory protection, and that is because, from what I understand, this stuff is actually very safe. It's non-toxic, no chemicals as they advertise, and they tell you just to put a little bit on, just like that. You want very little, so I think that's pretty good right there. Just for the back side of this. And basically we're just gonna rub it in just like that. And that little tiny bit will take you a very long way. That's what they say, a little bit takes you a long way. And already I'm liking this stuff. That looks really nice. And I did sand this to 400 grit. For the record, you could sand it to whatever grit you want. The higher grit you go, the shinier the finish will come out. This is my first time doing this. I'm not entirely sure how shiny this is gonna come out at 400, but we'll find out. Now we're gonna let that sit for 45 minutes, and then we're gonna come back and wipe it off. But I just wanna take a quick shot of it because wow, I love how that looks. It looks real shiny. I'm very curious to see how shiny it's gonna stay once I wipe it off. Alrighty, it's been roughly about an hour, so it's time to take our cloth and we're gonna wipe it off. At least that's what it says to do. And there you guys have it. That is what the Odie's is looking like after we wipe it down. So there's no excess on there. That looks absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I just had to come outside and get a quick shot of this. Now I still have to wipe the finish off, but that shine just looks absolutely stunning all around the piece.